So there were a lot of great games announced at this year's Game Awards. And of course, Elden Ring won Game of the Year. Yeah, it is an amazing game. Miyazaki's a genius. I think we can all agree on that. However, for me, the most impressive game shown off this year was the new trailer we got for Final Fantasy XVI. And oh boy, does this game look absolutely incredible, and has me even more excited for this year's upcoming games. Hey, what's up guys, Gabe here. Hey, if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. And if you would, go ahead and please consider plopping down like a big old chocobo on that like and subscribe button. I would definitely appreciate it, and it would help out the channel a lot. So this latest trailer opens up with a brief yet bloody and surprisingly mature intro to what sets up the game's essential plot, revenge. We are introduced to the story's protagonist, an inhabitant of the land of Valisthea. Clive Rossfield, the firstborn son of Archduke of Rosaria, and then his younger brother, Joshua Rossfield, who has inherited a coveted magical ability called the Phoenix Flames. We are also introduced to the antagonist, Ifrit, as he goes full-on mountain from Game of Thrones and cleaves Joshua's chocobo right before seemingly killing him right in front of his older brother, Clive. And this, of course, leads Clive on a quest of revenge to kill Ifrit for what he's done. The trailer then opens up to show some beautiful gameplay, battle scenes, Titan battles, and some seriously impressive graphics brought to us by the team over at Square. Now, full disclosure, guys, I haven't really been a fan of the Final Fantasy series since probably Final Fantasy 7 and 8. And even as incredible as those games were, by that point, they were kind of already starting to stray from the primary aesthetic and format they associated with the series as a whole. Spoiler alert, guys, I'm old. And I admittedly had a very closed-minded way of how I wanted the Final Fantasy series to remain. And this is mainly because my first RPG experience was with Final Fantasy II on the SNES. As a kid, that game was absolute magic in my eyes and completely sealed in me a love for JRPGs, remaining one of my favorite video game genres throughout my entire life. Then after playing Final Fantasy III and my mind being blown away with what a 16-bit RPG experience could be, those titles remain how I wanted to see Final Fantasy going forward, in that classic 16-bit style, and therefore judged every game going after. Completely silly, I know, but I even tried playing Final Fantasy X when it came out for the PlayStation 2, but I just couldn't really get into the whole 3D RPG style that was going for with the story, and then also playing as Justin Bieber, Titus, whoever he was. And by that time, they also seemed to be going more into the sci-fi realm of things pretty heavily, which I do love in movies and video games as a whole, but just not when it comes to the Final Fantasy series. So it wasn't until I heard this announcement and saw this trailer that has gotten me really excited about the series once again. Even though it was obviously done in a very fluid, fast-paced action RPG style with a battle system reminiscent of something like Devil May Cry, I've actually really come to love games of this style. The setting seems to have this very old-school Final Fantasy dark medieval aesthetic and a very mature storyline going through. This game also looks to be everything that I kind of imagined the Final Fantasy games were as a kid. Even though, yeah, at that point they were just, 8-bit or 16-bit turn-based RPG experience. In my mind as a kid, they were this fully fleshed out adventure. So with all that said, let's talk real quick about what is making this game look so incredible, and one aspect that has completely won me over. First off, this game is being built in the Luminous engine, a modified engine used in Final Fantasy XIV, which is a bit of a surprise for me because it was originally being developed in Unreal Engine 4, which has become such the standard for modern titles. But this decision to use a modified Luminous apparently comes as a decision made by the director of Final Fantasy XVI, Hiroshi Takai, as he previously has worked with this engine in Final Fantasy XIV. It seems that Square has also nabbed a really important player from over at Capcom, the creator of Devil May Cry 5, Ryota Suzuki. As stated in an interview over a PlayStation blog, Square wanted a veteran in action game development, such as Suzuki, so that they could really compete in the action gaming space going forward, bringing Final Fantasy to a whole new generation of players who seem to be gravitating more towards action-oriented games such as Capcom's Monster Hunter Rise or Devil May Cry 5. Which both of those games are definitely incredible as well, and it kind of makes you think, possibly Square is thinking about porting Final Fantasy XVI over to whatever the next Nintendo console will be, since Monster Hunter Rise has done so well for the Nintendo Switch. Keeping with Square trying to branch out to a broader audience, they're also offering 2 separate difficulties for this title, including an easy story-driven mode, which allows for an easier action system and an easier way to pull off complex combos. And this, of course, will go right along with the normal difficulty setting. And lastly, the one aspect that's going to make this game a day one purchase for me is the inclusion of Torgal the dog, which is obviously going to become the most important member of your party. Yep, this time around it looks as if you'll get to run around this entire jacked up world with the best thing that they could have included, a little pupper. And I mean, if that doesn't sell the game for you right there, I don't know what to say. You're clearly a horrible person and you obviously hate everything good in the world. And with all that said, I think Final Fantasy 16 is going to be a huge release for the PlayStation 5 when it launches on June 22nd, 2023, and also probably be a big seller of the systems going forward. And I really wouldn't be surprised if this game came back to the Game Awards in 2023 as a really strong Game of the Year contender. I mean, it definitely won't have any other competition in 2023 that just so happens to be a vast action RPG from a franchise that is beloved around the world, right? Right? But what do you guys think? Are you a long-term Final Fantasy fan and you are definitely picking this game up on launch? Or are you like me who kind of fell out of the series for a while but has found a newfound love for it? Let me know in the comments below and maybe share this with someone who may also be interested in this game, or if nothing else, Torgal. But most importantly, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.